We are heading out to get this thing scaled up. Old man's throwing the trunk on right now. We got to throw the front end on it. Just got done welding up this front piece here. Thing that looks like a spear. That is going to help us put the front, or well, put the car on the trailer so we actually got something to tie to. So we are going to get all these parts put on and get the trailer out, get the truck loaded. We're heading out to Go Fast. All right, we're here scaling. Jimmer's working his magic.
You're about 50 pounds heavier on the driver's side. You were out run it. I run mine at 70 or 80 pounds heavier. Everything's zero.
Still got to throw our wheelie bars back on, but that is way lighter than what we initially thought it was going to be. We were thinking maybe like 32-ish. I would say once we get the wheelie bars on and all that, we might be 2850. So I would say the old man's going to be a little happy for that one. But they are working their magic out in the back. There's a big man right there. And we will lead you through some of the stuff that they do down here as well. Got his car there, his boy's car there, new cars up there. Nice little Firebird that's got lack of service. We'll go through a little bit more, and we'll give you guys a little bit more of a shout out of what goes on around here. So, be right back. So, you thought it was going to be what, 3180?
Yes.
I thought it was going to be even heavier than you. So,
Lighter than I thought.
yeah, so far it's been about, like I said, the 2816. So we should be around that 2850 mark. So you happy so far?
Yeah, heck yeah.
So far everything seems to be going good. He's going, hey man, you know, you got good shocks. 4-link looks good. Everything underneath car looks good. Everything squared up looks good. So far getting a good clear bill of health.
Yep.
And they're working their magic back there, doing their thing. We couldn't get enough time at Go Fast to get some footage and be able to talk with Jimmer. We will though, but everybody's right now trying to get their cars ready for the last day of the racing season, but we'll definitely be back. So we're back from doing the scaling on the car. As you guys saw, this thing ended up coming out a lot lighter than what me or the old man thought. So luckily we didn't have any money on that one because we both would have lost. But yeah, 2815 is what we ended up on this thing, which we're both very, very happy with. I mean, this is not a chrome moly car. This is a mild steel 2x3 frame. It's nothing crazy. I think it's what, a Mustang 2 front end. Yeah, it's not even struts. I mean, you probably lose another 75 pounds putting struts on it. But regardless of that, few things that we got to address that we hurried up to get it over to Jimmer's over at Go Fast and get this thing going. Couple of things we got to work on, or I'm going to work on today, is on the headers over here. You guys might be able to see from there, this one side sticks out, well this back side doesn't, and we don't want to burn the paint and stuff like that. So I'm going to make some, I gotta take some measurements, but just looking at it, I'm guessing I'm gonna probably be at least 1.5 inches, 2 inches, because this right now is about 1 1/4 out, which I believe will be all right. But right now they're tipped at an angle. I'm gonna try to have it to where this portion is that comes out will come out dead straight. But also we need to weigh the wheelie bars, because when we ended up doing the 2815, if you guys remember, we didn't do the wheelie bars. So we're going to add, let's say 3 gallons of gas. You're what, 6-7 pounds a gallon. So let's just say roughly another 25 pounds to the car. So at that point, we're at what, 2840. Let's just say we're right there. That'll give us about 6 gallons of gas in the fuel cell, which I think will be safe. I'm going to set the scale up, and we're going to grab the wheelie bars and weigh that stuff up, and we'll have a grand total of what this thing weighs. So let's grabbing the wheelie bars. What I'm doing here is I got a chunk of wood on top of the scale. We're going to zero this bad boy out with this on there so we can actually lay the wheelie bars on it this way. So let me zero this bad boy out here. What ones are we doing first, tops or bottoms? All right, so we're good there. All right, so we got the tops. Just lay it down flat. That's why I got the wood on there. Lay it flat. That's why the wood's on there.
Well, if you would have said horizontally, I would have understood.
That's why I put the wood on there. Lay it down flat so we can do it. And we don't
I
have
was
balance.
flat vertically.
Yeah.
So
13.4. So we're at 13.4 there.
Okay.
All right, there's that one. So if that's 13.5, what do you think the bottom's going to be? Just by, go ahead and pick it up and guess.
17.
All right, we are 19.4. So 13.4, 19.4.
That would be 19.4, 29,
About 29.8.
32.
Well, you figure what? 19 and 13. So 32, about 33-ish pounds.
Yeah.
So if we figure we are at 28.40 and add another 33 pounds to it.
I thought we were at 28.15.
Yep, and then add about 25 pounds worth of fuel. So
Yeah.
that's about another 3 gallons.
Okay.
And then that. So probably race ready weight, you're about 28.75.
Yeah.
Roughly. That's not bad. Under 2,900 pounds. Bars are a little heavier than what we thought, but about 28.75, you know, give or take a little bit here, a little bit there. I mean, 28.73, you know, and if we're off a little bit on fuel, blah, blah, blah. The old man had a big lunch before we go race. There's an extra pound or two. So at that point, not bad. We're under 2,900 pounds. So it's a good day.
Scale still works.
Okay, well, what do you weigh?
180.
$182.8. So I
What do
would
you
say-
weigh?
Oh, I know what I weigh. I'm hefty.
Come on.
Oh, I already know what I weigh. I had a big breakfast.
Our viewers don't know what you weigh.
Well, if they check the other channel, they'll know what I weigh. So, anyways,
Changing the subject.
No, I'm weaving another direction. So I'm going to start working on header stuff. You got to do what? Throttle pedal. We got to get neutral safety switch wired up.
Yep.
Throttle pedal stuff.
I got to cut the wheelie bars, this piece off.
We don't got to worry about that though right now.
I'm going to do it today. It only takes a minute.
Oh, well. And then I got to weld up the collectors. There are no collector ties, so that's going to be something else I'm going to do as well with the collectors. I'm going to pretty much get the headers done today. They're going to look a little crude because, you know, they're ceramic coated and whatever, but he can pay for that stuff in the middle of winter. But that's pretty much what we got left. Neutral safety switch, he's got to make some throttle pedal modifications for his comfort. It's a little tight to your foot.
Yeah.
So you're going to shrink it?
I'm changing the ratio. I'm shortening one side and lengthening the other based on the pivot point. So I don't have as much pedal travel at the bottom, and I still get the same amount of
Carburetor
pull
activation.
at the carburetor.
Okay.
So that's today's project.
So yeah, we're just trying to knock this stuff down this weekend. So next weekend we are going racing, weather permitting. We're going to be able to get this thing down the track. Are we going to light it on spray? Who knows? But the biggest thing is getting it down the track, getting you down the track. And the way it looks, I mean, at the weight that we're doing, we're hoping to see it maybe touch like 9.0s or into the 8s, but it should sink deep into the 8s.
880s maybe?
Or quicker. Yeah. I mean, off, you know, doing calculations and all that, it's saying, you know, the car should run like a 866 at 157. This is like really nice weather. You know, the converter being set up for nitrous, the gear ratio set up for nitrous, all that. So if this thing runs anywhere in a 70, 870s, 880s at say like 153-ish, 154, I mean, that's a great day. The fact that this thing will run 8s just on motor anytime you want
With
it.
a tight converter,
Yeah, that'll be great. So I just took the measurements on the driver's side header, the passenger side header, at what angles I'm going to have to cut. I'll show you guys that. I have this chunk. Here, let me show you. I have this here. This big old 4-footer of 4-inch exhaust pipe. That's when I was doing the black Camaro. And what I came up with over here was this. 3/8 and 2 1/4 on the driver's side, 1/4 and 1 7/8 on the passenger side. So driver's side wise, you guys can see, yeah, we're gonna have a bad day that coming into here. Now, if all of a sudden we actually were gonna light this off with a couple of kits, this would melt. We'd screw this paint job up big time. So what I'm doing here is driver's side. You can see the 2 1/4. What I did was off this edge from here out to 1 1/2, because this right here is about 1 1/8. So I'm going to extend this out 3/8 of an inch here, and then it's going to go straight across and then up. So this will then be a straight out exit. Having this coming at an angle like this, your flame's going to travel, and then it's just going to kiss all of this. Well, this is a beautiful paint job. We don't want to screw it up. So if I'm more straight, I'm going to have a better chance at this coming out straight out here, and a less chance of burning, you know, the side of the car. All right, so I already ground the collectors here, and then on this tube way over here, and these are the pieces that I'm going to weld on there. A lot of you guys have seen this. You understand what these are. Some of you guys haven't seen them. This is just going to make sure the collector doesn't get blown off the actual header itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to weld these guys on like a saw, and then all you have to do is just unbolt it, take your collector off if you have to, but it makes it nice. Some people like weld-on collectors, some people like slip-on collectors. We like slip-ons, but this is what I was talking about that the old man forgot to put on. So I'm going to do a couple of little tacks on here, get these put on. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to fully tighten this up so it takes a set to being completely mated together. I got to keep them loose because they're not going to fit. They're not going to fit perfectly across. You can see these little notches that are in them right here. So they're either going to be tipped a little bit this way or this way. So you do that, you get this to lay flat, and then once that's flat, tighten them down, and then finish up your weld. And then obviously I'm making sure this one's far enough away from the tire that we don't have a problem. So, those are lightly tacked. Then what I'm going to do is obviously I'm going to spin the tire, make sure that I don't have any problems if, you know, suspension travel, things like that. So, always double check. So as you can see, lightly tacked, nothing crazy, just to hold them on there. Like I said, now I'm going to tighten them up. I have plenty of room from here. I was going to put it coming off, you know how this one's coming dead straight across. Well, you can see how this one's kind of curved underneath. If I brought it up and I put it to here, I was just afraid that this would kind of get close. And I mean, I got about 2 fingers. So even if the car, you know, even if the car travels up and down and all that, you're not going to hit it. But that's what I got to check on both sides. So now I'm going to go through and I'm going to weld these on for good. So now we are moving on to the collector extension ring doohickey thing. What it is this piece right here. Initially, I tried to do this off of a straight edge piece, and I'll show you that in a second. It just didn't work. So this is what we're doing on these. So I got my center line, hooking it up. Boom, boom. Now you can see how we got a nice little curved edge. We're coming out straight out the fender well, and if my measurements and everything come up good, we're good. So I've already made up the passenger side. I have the driver's side. I'll show you what I mean by the going off the straight. Initially I had a chunk of 4-inch straight pipe, which I thought I could cut an angle like this. Well, I ended up doing it, and I ended up making that chunk. And I wasn't sure if the angle was going to be too much, because the reason why is if you take 4-inch this way and you start cutting angles this way, well, obviously you're going to make it longer. Well, it made it too long. Let me show you what's going on here. So, you know, it's kind of like, oh, well, you're somewhat similar. It's just this one's got a nice little bit more of a curve to it. But you got to remember, spending 45, 50 bucks at a 90-degree elbow just to get that. It's like, hey, I got some 4-inch straight pipe. Let's see if this works first. So if you butt them up next to each other that way, it's like, okay, well, 4-inch. Hey, look at that. Fits pretty nice, right? Okay, well, here's where it really gets bad. So if I take that same 4-inch, connect it there, that's how much bigger it is. So take that, put it onto your collector, put it onto your header or whatever, it's going to look really obnoxious and nasty and just disgusting. So we had to go out. Luckily, Kenowa that we go to, they had 2 4-inch elbows. So what I ended up doing was, grabbed one of those and cut the 2 pieces that I needed. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to tack them here at the barn, and then we're going to go over to the other shop and I'm going to TIG them all the way around, and then we might just put just a little bit of paint on them. Let me show you this paint. The old man found this a long time ago at Ace Hardware, and it's their metallic chrome paint. I think it's this one. They also have it like in a gold as well. That's machine gray, but there is a chrome paint that they have. Maybe it's over on this side. Oh, is that it? That's gold. Got a lot of gold. Well, anyways, they have some that it blends pretty close to the ceramic coat, so we could spritz it on there and it'll look pretty close. Oh, it's over there. It looks close enough to where if you really weren't paying attention, it'll get by, since we're only running it one time. Is that it?
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Chrome aluminum.
So it's that stuff, which is the chrome aluminum, and it comes out pretty good. I mean, it's not as shiny as ceramic coat and all that stuff, but it comes out pretty good. So we're just going to spray a little bit of that on there just to kind of get by, and then again, collectors come off, they get sent in, they get jet hot coated. So I want to weld those up. We'll head over to the other shop and do some TIGging. Taking a ride to the main shop. This one's actually got the TIG welder all set up, ready to rock and roll. Unfortunately, the barn itself, we just don't have a TIG welder. There's not really a need for it there. So we're going to take a little ride here. So here we are at the other shop. This is where we got the good TIG welder set up and 220 surface grinder, stuff like that we need. So I am going to go through and I'm going to start welding these bad boys up. So let me set this up. Alright, so sitting here going through and just finishing up on the TIG welding portion of this, and I got done with the first one. I'm moving here on the second one, and I started thinking about it going, you know what? We're going to end up just buying a new set of collectors, cutting the correct angle that we initially should have had in these things. So it was just kind of funny. As I'm going, we're just going to buy another set. I don't have to be super picky here, but it is what it is. Okay, so we got those TIG welded up. Those are all done, as you can see, finished up there. Is this some of my best work? No, it's not. But they're on, they're working. Come wintertime, once we actually, get them all jet hot coated and all that stuff, most people probably won't even recognize it when you're looking at the car and you're more overwhelmed at the car. I highly doubt you're going to look at that and go, those welds look mediocre. So it doesn't really matter. But I didn't want to just MIG weld them and then have spatter everywhere and they look kind of gloppy. I wanted to at least TIG weld them. They didn't butt up perfect, So I had some gaps I had to fill, stuff like that. I know, excuses, but they're done. I am going to grind the actual surface themselves where I did some cutting and just make it look a little bit better. And then we're going to wrap this up. We're going to head back to the barn. So, yeah. So here is the finished product. That's what we wanted to do. Getting them to stick out like a so. Yes, you can see the weld. That's the aluminum paint. And then just up into here is the ceramic coat. So that's what I mean by that. Aluminum paint's nice. It's close to the ceramic coat. I mean, if you're really not paying attention, this is going to be the one and only time that we're, taking it out to the track for its debut run. Wintertime will ceramic coat them, so we'll be good. So that's what they look like. And as you can tell, we're not going to actually burn, the paint or anything like that. We're not going to spray it. We might. Who knows? We got to see what the old man's going to do. But being like that, if we get any flame, the flame will be coming out, this way compared to before where the cut is. The flame would be coming out this way. So you trace that cut, that flame would be coming out here. All of this would just blister like crazy. So what I ended up doing was, this is about a 1/2 inch long. This is about 1 3/4 inch long. Doesn't really matter in that sense. It was just the point of making it come out straight. So now we'll just get a nice shot. So that's all done. And you can see in there to where I got the ties wrapped in. Plenty of room to there. So now that's finished up. We are now working on, Schuler and the old man are making some labels for the switch panel up top. So the old man knows what switches he's flipping. I'm going to try to hit the neutral safety switch before I go. I'm going to try to get that done. And we are going to check the RPM activation switch because we haven't checked it. The 7AL box was not working. Its portion of it wasn't working. So I ended up hooking up an external. I'll show you. So I ended up hooking up an external switch. So all of that's wired up to the shifter now. So what we're going to do is we're going to try it, make sure the plunger actually pops out. If it does, we know the shifter's working. The old man's good to go in that sense. So we're going to try that. And then those two little wires hanging right there, I have to hook up into the ignition switch. All you're doing is literally, it's a breaker switch. So you come out of your ignition switch to the neutral safety switch, or you're going in, coming back out, and it's a breaker switch. So if you're in park or neutral, it's connected. If you're not, it's off, so it doesn't allow your car to start in gear. So I got to hook that up, and yeah, we're just plugging away. Hopefully, weather permitting, like we were talking about, that we'll be able to get it out to the track. So let's get moving on the rest of it. All right, so we're going to try the RPM activation switch. Now, this is what it makes sense in my brain. It does not know that the transmission is in gear. It doesn't know the car is moving. It doesn't know anything like that. It is literally an RPM activation switch. So if this was a light bulb, it would turn on and stay on above set RPM. Right now, I got a 4,000 chip in it. So when this thing hits 4,000 RPM, this should just pop out and stay there until you drop underneath that RPM. So if you were shifting, say you had a 7,500 in it, well, obviously you shift, it drops down the RPM. When it comes back up again, it's going to want to shift again. So you guys hit me down in the comments if you've used these electric shifters before. Is there something here that I am doing wrong? It's a very basic, easy hookup, but apparently I must be overlooking something. Hit me down in those comments.
It moved a little bit the first time. Did you see it?
No.
It vibrates.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, the only other thing would be you're in gear. We jack the ass end up. put it in first gear and, you know, rum, and do the same thing that you did and see if it pops. But it's an RPM activation switch. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense to where it should pop just on that RPM. We can try it. We can try to jack the ass end up, let the wheels spin, and, you know, let it pop into gear. It's the only other way. Where you take it out on the street and put it in first gear and do that. But I noticed this isn't the super tightest thing in the world. But I've tried the one that's on the 7AL3 box. It isn't doing it. It literally, I mean, it's... You have that ground. You just have that grounded in. It goes off of ground. So you run power coming off of this.
Yeah.
So this has automatically got power in it. All you're doing is clicking the ground on and off. So the ground comes through here and it gets hooked into this. So either the 7AL3 box or the RPM activation switch goes off your tack, and then you have it going off the ground. And all it basically does is just like attaches the ground when it hits the set RPM. That's it. I mean, that's literally, that's it. You have power to it, you have a ground to it, and then you have, you know, coming off your tack input, and that's it.
Do you have to have something in the 7AL?
No. No, because we're going off that.
I was going to say a 0 there or something like that.
If you were running off this one, but we're not running off this one because it wasn't working. So now I ended up hooking up that one.
Right.
So remember, I ended up running power to this and a ground to this and pop, and that thing was popping perfectly fine because I had to clean it because it was so damn rusty. But it worked fine. All right, so we came to the conclusion that we are just going to shift the damn car. We took the $4,000 chip that we had in the two-step, double checked that the two-step was actually popping off the rev limiter, the two-step. That worked out fine. We took that chip, stuffed it in the RPM activation switch, tried it, nothing. So at that point, he and I were talking about it, and we're just gonna just shift the car. It's one quick pop. You don't have to grab the lever, nothing like that. It's just a quick slap it and go. So that's what we're gonna do. So now the old man's looking at some things to buy for like a nitrous gauge and some fittings in there, just in case. I'm not saying we're gonna spray it, but we want the option to be there if everything goes smooth. Hey, maybe we could try an 1/8 mile hit, and if we're lucky, maybe get one pass on 150 shot. Time will tell, but we are gonna end up going to the track. It looks like next Saturday is supposed to be like 70 degrees and sunny. So here in Michigan, that's fantastic. It's the last day of the of Martin Dragway being open. We wanted to get it down the track at least once this year, so everything's kind of lining up to where I think we can actually get it done and be okay. So neutral safety switch works, all that stuff, everything's working except for the RPM activation switch. So we're not going to let that hold us up and not go to the track because of that. So yeah, hopefully the next episode will do that. Also, possibly my 17-year-old son, we might get him down the track for his first time. No, he's not driving an S10 with a V8 or a Mustang. He's going to be drag racing his Envoy, which is like a 2010 straight six Envoy. But talk about getting him down the track and letting him experience it. He's been in the bleachers since he was 2 years old, you know, playing with cars and doing all kinds of stuff like that. And he always wanted to go down the track. So it was like, hey, why don't you go? So, and who knows, maybe mom will come out and she'll run her Trailblazer, and we'll have basically two same vehicles, and they can have fun racing each other. So I'm getting ready to go home, and when I see you guys next, hopefully we're going to be down at the track and getting this thing down there and having some fun. So till we meet again, my friends, we'll catch you on the flip side. Keep the fires going, keep them tires rolling. See ya.